And we're back. All right, so as promised, more fractions. Now, what we're going to do is, again, subtract them. So we're going to write out C of X minus D of X. Don't let this weird notation confuse you. It just means subtract the two. So I write the C first, and if you need to pause to write this down and then pick back up again, go for it. All right, so here's my C minus, here's the D function, 3 over 3x squared minus 5x. Now, if you notice, these are not quite the same denominator, so I can't subtract them yet, but they're super, super close. And when I look at them, I notice that I've got 3x squared minus 5x, but just 3x and minus 5 over here. So this is something that we're going to really tackle next unit or 2 units from now, but we're going to be making common denominators in a more fun way, a higher level than what you've done previously. And in this case, that means that I need to multiply in one more x, because if I put in one more x to this first fraction, I get a denominator that matches the second one. So that's going to become 15x over 3x squared minus 5x for that first fraction. So this is the work of the common denominator for the first fraction. The second fraction, I didn't have to do any work. Minus 3 over 3x squared minus 5x. Now, since they are the same denominator, I can subtract their numerators, and I get 15x minus 3. So just a word of advice here. This is not something that is explicitly part of this particular unit, that common denominator with a variable, but it's a good skill to have, and it is coming up soon. What matters is that you start the structure of this problem correctly, which is the C function minus the D function. All right, now we're going to go to D divided by C. So we're going to find D, and we're going to divide it by C. Now, this is something that I want to review very carefully here. If you've never seen this before, when it comes to fractions, you might have heard of multiplying by the reciprocal. Well, if at any point that you are dividing by a fraction, the proper method is what's called multiplying by the reciprocal of the fraction you're dividing by. How do you spell dividing? There we go. So what this really means, I'm going to drop this down here, is that we are going to take d of x and actually multiply it by 1 over c of x. That's the reciprocal. The reciprocal means that it's 1 over whatever it is. However, I like to say the word refliprical, because this right here, yeah, this is the reciprocal of c of x. But if c of x is already a fraction, that means that all we have to do is flip it upside down and we get the exact same thing. Refliprical. So here come the actual fractions themselves. I'm going to scroll back up again really quick. Here's C, 15 over 3x minus 5. That's going to be now 3x minus 5 all over 15. Okay, that is the flip of C. That's the reciprocal. C has been flipped upside down. D is going to stay the same. D remains 3 over 3x squared minus 5x. So there are my two fractions now already and lined up. When we do these problems, we've got the numerator staying as is. That numerator does not change. It's the denominator that we make the reciprocal or the reciprocal. And now that we multiply these, we're going to go ahead and look for things that can cancel out. So for instance, 15 and 3, since you've got them in the top and bottom together, 15 and 3 can both reduce by 3. Yay, 15 and 3 can both reduce by 3. And then there's another thing that we can do. And this is, again, a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to write it in the next line over. 3x minus 5 all over 3x squared minus 5x times 5. I'm not multiplying this yet because 3x minus 5 in the numerator can cancel out with another 3x minus 5 from the denominator. If you take that x out, you can reduce this fraction altogether. So this is coming up in the future, but I'm trying to prep you for it. Again, the goal is to understand this stage. If you can understand that I'm multiplying here because dividing really means multiply by the reciprocal, you're going to be okay. Moving on over here, that's next level stuff. So basically, these two pieces will cancel each other out. And our final answer for example B, all the way down here, is going to be 1 over 5x, because we're just left with the x and the 5. Now, I'm going to go ahead and point out that example C should be super easy. All right. For example C, you're literally being asked, what is C of x divided by C of x? All right. So think about what is C of x divided by C of x, and then give me your answer on the next slide. All right, so that's what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for your answer on the next slide, and I'll see you in the next video.